The Game Informer prologue footage is live, and I encourage you to go and check it out. It's fantastic to see Frank Stone in motion. But I'm not going to show all of it off here because that would just be using their footage and not really adding anything to it. The commentary over the footage is fine, but it doesn't really reveal anything we didn't already see in the article that we read the other day. Mostly technical talk that couldn't be of less interest to a story person like myself. And more references to AI having non-scripted behavior and there being a bunch of systemic gameplay. A term that's so inside baseball that no clear definition for it exists, so using it communicates basically nothing to your audience. The reviewer also talks about the game being more interactive than a standard supermassive movie game, but offers no supporting examples for that statement, so I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. Maybe the non-scripted AI behavior is just that NPCs dynamically react when the players run into them, rather than having canned animations. I mean, that's what people generally mean by non-scripted AI behaviors ever since Havok Physics first showed off their inverse kinematics tech with the controlled yet unscripted ragdolling for people getting knocked out and killed in GTA 4. Or maybe they mean something completely different. We'll just have to wait and see. The video shows off the Dead by Daylight QTEs in action, which looks pretty good actually. I'm really curious to how these are going to work though. We can see Sam Green here successfully hold onto a pipe on the wall after being scared by a blast of steam. Here's what I need to know more about though. If he'd failed, there's every chance he would have gotten burned or dropped the flashlight. But what would have happened if he had hit the bonus window? Have the developers actually come up with 3 distinct end states for all of the action QTEs in the game? When it's just fixing a generator, we know that the white box will increase the repair meter faster. But what about when you're fighting with Frank Stone? Or dodging a piece of falling furniture? I desperately need a chance to experiment with this. In addition to the technical stuff, we get a few story hints. Tom, the Night Watchman's dog, is named Merlin, and he's missing, which unfortunately suggests that this ribcage might be the remains of an adorable pupper. Well, maybe not so adorable? When they find the pile of gore on the ground, not only does it turn out that the thing Sam was picking up in the gameplay footage we saw was a human ear, but the Tom immediately seems to blame Merlin for it, which, yikes. Does this dog have a history of eating people? Also, I'm not saying that Tom is a bad guy, but he's certainly not helping Sam lift this grate. Sadly, all of the conversations between the characters are cut from this video, so we're not told why Tom just can't let Sam into the mill with his Night Watchman keys. Maybe Frank has barred the doors on the inside as preparation for his plan to sacrifice a child to summon the entity, which, seems like it's definitely going to happen. The summoning, not the sacrifice, necessarily. We also get a look at our first document from the game, the overanalyzing of which is most of what I do, so let's get into it. First off, the top of this sheet refers to this as a rota, which is British slang for schedule. Should it be on an Oregon steel mill in 1963? Almost certainly not. The devs must have been so pleased when they found a Friday the 13th around the time they wanted the game to be set. It's cool to know almost exactly when the game is set. Looking over all of the names doesn't spark anything. None of them seem particularly notable at first glance. I will point out, though, that there's no Castle, Rivera, or Gordon anywhere on the list, so we don't have a direct family connection between the main cast and the action at the steel mill in the prologue, except, of course, for Robert and Sam. Could Robert be the baby who was kidnapped? If he was, you'd think that Sam wouldn't be so composed during all of these scenes. Maybe it's Jaime in the bassinet? The phone number is some cute gibberish, 456-45673, which is, of course, one character too long. Also, the area code is for the islands of Antigua and Barbuda. The correct area code for Oregon at the time would have been 503. Is the number 268 or the islands a reference? Or did they just not look up the correct area code? The back of the paper reveals that Frank Stone has recently been transferred off of graveyard shift, where I assume he used the relative abandoned state of the steel mill to, hide all of his death items in the walls. I wonder who the Dawkins guy is. They say he's been reassigned as well, but his name doesn't appear on the schedule. Also, will I know that lumpkin is a thing you call a clumsy oaf? In this case, Tom, the Night Watchman. Is it in the common parlance outside of the UK? I honestly don't know about this one and would appreciate if someone could fill me in if they use it regularly in North America. Hey, it's nice to see the X on the wall from the original trailer. Big change to the lighting in this scene of Sam arriving at the furnace. Is this just a question of the graphic settings on the PC that they used to capture this? Or is it a conscious decision they've made to alter the scene's look? Overall, this is a very interesting look at the game in motion, and I encourage anyone who hasn't looked it over to head over to Game Informer's YouTube channel. I'm putting a link in the description here. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that we get a chance to check out the prologue before the game actually launches, and if so, we're going to have a much more in-depth look at it. For now, though, I've been the Hidden Object Guru. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, you'd like to see more of these buttons coming up to help with that, questions, comments, your own Frank Stone queries you'd like to have answered before it comes out, I'll go in the comments section below the video. We'll see you back here for more Frank Stone information as events allow, but until then, I'll say that's right, au revoir.